Hello guys, and welcome back to Seven Aligned Podcast. Yet again, we return to the walls of this bedroom to speak about something that captures my attention. And today's episode, we will be talking all about Samhain, Halloween, and the pagan celebrations of this time of year. So, for anyone watching, happy late Halloween, happy November, happy autumn, happy fall. I come with this episode to explore what this season invites us to do and how we can see that historically through humans and history and culture and celebrations. So to start all of this, let's start at Halloween. Happy Halloween. The day I'm filming this, it is November now, but Halloween just happened. And I think the most important place to start is the name origin. So the name Halloween comes from All Hallows Eve or All Saints Day, which are like the Roman Catholic celebrations of death. The idea of Halloween comes from All Hallows Day, hallow meaning holy or saint in medieval English. Traditionally, in Roman times, November 1st was a feast for the saints, and Hallows Eve was remembrance for the dead or the martyred. That's where the name Halloween comes from. The tradition of Halloween and how it is celebrated is actually older than the Romans. A lot of traditional Halloween celebrations, even in today's times, we see sewed in the celebration of Samhain. We only see Halloween as it is like modernly celebrated within the Roman Catholic society after 50 AD, and that is after they colonized and conquered Celtic Britannia. So let's jump over to Samhain. What is Samhain? If you've never heard, Samhain is one of the major celebrations of the pagan holidays, the pagan year, and it happens from October 30th to November 2nd. It is believed that it is the thinnest veil of the year. Samhain, in the ancient Celtic pagan sense, was also a celebration to welcome in the darkness of the year. This whole time was meant to be a reflection of the abundance of summer and the abundance of our harvest, and also the preparation for the darkness of the year. You may sometimes hear the fact that this is the pagan New Year, and in some ways I think that is true. Autumn invites us to leave things behind that are heavy in order to sit in stillness and then again allow the cycle of fertility and creation to find us in March when the sun arrives again into the hemisphere. In ancient Celtic times, the major traditions included bonfires, harvest feasts, and wearing of masks to scare off the spirits that are closest to the earthly realm. And because the realm is so thin, it is the perfect time to honor the ancestors and remember the ancestors and honor the cycle of death. I think like this is the time of year to really recognize the fact that nobody lives forever, nothing lives forever. Even the trees fall off the branches, the cycles are continuous and they never stop until they do. So we kind of move back into post-50 AD Roman Catholic celebrations now. Again, in Roman Catholic tradition, there are 2 days. There is All Saints Day and All Souls Day. It's the same difference, All Hallows Eve, All Saints Day. One really celebrates the death of saints and one celebrates the death of martyrs. Now, if we don't remember history class, who was under Roman Catholic control? Well, most of Europe, but especially the Spanish at this time. So in medieval Spain, we see the tradition of celebrating All Hallows Eve and All Saints Day by bringing offerings to the graves, including flowers, candles, wine, and pan de animas. Yes, you heard that right, spirit bread, which blew me away when I learned in the research of this episode, because I talk about specifically medieval Spain. So we can move into our next segment of this episode, which talks about Dia de los Muertos and how we celebrate Halloween and Dia de los Muertos and All Saints Day and all of this stupid holiday autumn celebration in a different part of the world, in Mesoamerica, in Mexico specifically. So Mesoamerican Mexican history is really interesting because clearly their indigenous history has a different take than the rest of the world. So how the Celts viewed death and how the Mesoamericans viewed death was differently, and so they had different ways of celebrating it. And in Mesoamerica, death was very close. It was, of course, as with most cultures, a part of everyday life. Death is part of life. Because of this, we see the immersion of a whole new holiday and a cultural mixture of all of these different ideas between death and the spirit realm and autumn and the changing of the seasons in the Northern Hemisphere. And from that is born Dia de los Muertos and today's celebrations. The idea of Dia de los Muertos is also this belief that it is the closest that the spirit realm is to the earthly realm in the year, and that spirits can awaken for 2 days and roam the earth, and therefore offerings and celebrations and drinks and also the wearing of costumes has become traditionalized, but happens in Mexico from the 30th to the 2nd, really. We also see ofrendas in everybody's family homes, which honor their past family loved ones and the remembering of their ancestors, their martyrs, and the saints of their own lives. So now I guess we get to touch on Americanization of Halloween and what capitalism does to paganism in a way, in Catholicism too, what capitalism does to religion. I find it interesting because I know the United States specifically has a lot of Celtic ancestry and mysticism woven inside of it simply because of the land, if not also because of the culture. So the way that Halloween has manifested in the United States is different than in Mexico, not only because of the difference in cultures, but also the difference in rooted traditions. In Mexico, All Saints Day came from a very Catholic point of view from the Spanish colonizers, and therefore like the 2-day celebration of both the Catholic Church and death and like offerings is still the basis. In the United States, it's become a bit looser, and we had this idea of trick or treat, and also of like the trickster idea, and how the ghouls are out and you should be a little scared, because we have much more of the Celtic influence. And listen, it's a mystic place, and when you're dealing with paganism as a religion, you're dealing with it as someone who believes in the mysticism of nature, of wind, of creation, and what can be born out of that. So this is why we see the major commercialization of costumes in America, for example, because wearing a disguise was innately a part of Samhain tradition and has made its way to America and been bought by the machine. We also see this tradition of bonfires, this tradition of feasting, this tradition, think about it, the tradition of feasting on candy. I mean, it's bought by the machine, but it's pretty much a parallel to the tradition of feasting on whatever you grew at the end of the autumn harvest while you prepare for winter, where you have to like stretch and ration your food until you can plant again. Everything is a parallel to everything in my book. Humans saw trees changing color and dropping their leaves. They saw the sun fall out of their sky and winter breath take over, bringing them chill and fright. And you're trying to protect yourself from that, from starvation, from famine, from war, from all of these things in whatever ways you can, whether that's praying to God and your martyred brothers and sisters, or whether that is, keeping the fire lit all winter long. It just takes different manifestations. The last tradition that I would like to touch on in today's episode is actually Dawali, which is a Hindu celebration, largely celebrated in India by different religious groups. But Dawali is the festival of lights that also takes place in late October or early November. So on the other side of the world, we see a similar celebration occurring that still honors this reflection of light and darkness in life. Anything, I think this innately proves just how closely humans are meant to work with the seasons. All Saints' Day, all Martyrs' Day, all Hallows' Eve, whatever you want to say, put aside, the belief that the veil is thinner at this time of year, you can believe it or not, I think the veil does thin during both equinoxes, the autumn and the spring, because we see a lot of renewal and a lot of death. And that is innately what energy is in a way, if it's constant and it's not to be created or destroyed. But even if you don't want to subscribe to any one belief, tradition, if you're like me, you can just subscribe to all of them. Just do them all, and then you can't be doing one wrong because you're doing everything. What you can do is you can take some time to enjoy autumn and fall for all of its colors. Go for a walk in nature, eat some local produce, connect with the earth. I also think that's something that we forget. We're so removed from like the food cycle that we don't realize that different vegetables are ripe now. Different vegetables are ready for harvest at different times in the year. But once the first frost occurs, not many vegetables or fruits or anything is really going to be growing until spring again. If you look at that for plants, how can you reflect that into your life as a person? What can you do to honor all of the abundance that you have had and has occurred in your life for this last year? And also, what can you give up and let die, and cycles can you close out? The next question after that is, what are the cycles that you hope to renew when springtime comes? Because the darkness is time for reflection. The darkness is time for stillness. We are now invited to enter the winter season and rest. We've done our work and we can continue to create in the comfort of our homes. That's why I changed position. I wanted some warm lighting behind me to really give the vibe that, like, you know what? It's not that serious. And also, we're forever changing, so take it as it comes. And the best news is, it's not like this energy really fades away. At least in the United States, we have Thanksgiving at the end of November, which is another amazing opportunity to feast, spend time with loved ones, honor the changing of the season, and really just come home to self. You know, in the essence, I know Thanksgiving has a lot of history and it's now Indigenous Persons Month in the United States as well, so we'll talk about that. But in Americas, we also see the major tradition of pumpkins with Halloween, and pumpkins and calabaza is innately American. So this is the mixing of cultures that I talk about. You can't take one thing from another without it changing. You can bring the Samhain as Halloween over to United States, and you can change the costumes, and you can change the vegetable, but the vegetables that were being feasted upon by the indigenous people will be celebrated and continue to be celebrated. And we see this in the cornucopias, and we see this in the pumpkins, and we see this in the corn mazes. You can't get rid of them. So celebrate them. All November, you have all November to celebrate both the land, the people, yourself. Be happy, be cheery. And I just ask you to really ask yourself, you know, in what ways do you want to grow and do you deserve to grow? And how can you change from past versions of yourself that you don't love and don't want to resonate with into the higher versions of yourself that you dream about? We can all be better versions of ourselves. We can all be better versions of ourselves. Kindness is free. And if you don't want to celebrate on Thanksgiving, I do give you 2 dates that you can possibly celebrate in November. We have a full moon coming up on November 5th. This is the perfect good opportunity for you to release. Full moons are great times for you to release. It's also going to be super full moon, so it's going to be pretty big in the sky. Take time on the 5th to think about what you want to let go of. Just think, you know what? I had a great year. Give gratitude. I am grateful. I'm not bringing this into 2026. I'm not bringing this into 2026. I'm not bringing this into 2026. Start it now. Start it now. Why not? Why not? Why wait till New Year's? Become the better you now. And also, November 20th is the new moon of this month. New moons are great for manifestation because it's empty and it will swell. So on November 20th, you can write down a bunch of stuff that you're hoping to bring into your life for the next month and for the next year. And you will reap in the abundance of the holiday season, I swear to you, because then you tradition. And in a different episode, we'll go more into Yule, of course. But really, this time frame only lasts for 2 months. It goes from November to December 22nd, really. So it goes for a month and a half, 2 months if you stretch it. And it's this darkening of the sky. We're getting increasingly darker and darker and darker and darker until we reach the darkest night of the year, which is when we celebrate Yule, right around the corner from Christmas. And in Yule, you'll celebrate light re-entering the sky again, and it slowly gets lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter until we hit the spring equinox. So, as you see, it is all just a circle of repeating cycles, and every autumn you will be reminded of who you were last autumn and asked who you want to be next autumn. So work with this energy, and there's a little history for you. I hope it perked your ears up. I hope you learned something new. And I have so much going on right now. I am here to be and create. So I am available on a bunch of different social medias. They will all be down below. I have a bunch of different side hustles that will be down below, and they include Instagram, Patreon, Substack. What else do I have? Of course, my regular YouTube channel, and I'm working on a book, but that's for another time. So I hope to see you soon again here, and happy autumn, guys. That's where we'll end it off here. Do something to honor yourself today because you deserve it. All right, until next time, ciao.